Ross.
Great. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everyone on behalf of the founders of Ross Intelligence to come here to the launch of Ross North. We are honored to have such a large group of Ross supporters here. We thank the University of Toronto for hosting us here today. In many ways, we have come full circle, as the Department of Computer Science here in this very building was where we first had our offices. When we first began this journey 2 years ago, we always knew we wanted to be back in Toronto. As an AI company, launching our artificial intelligence research and development headquarters here in Toronto, specifically here at the University of Toronto, where the pioneering works of folks like Jeff Hinton and Rich Semmel took place, was, as we say at Ross, a no-brainer. We are proud to be here at the University of Toronto, we are proud to be here in Toronto, and we are proud to be back in Canada. As I mentioned, this very building served as our first unofficial office. After many late nights here at the Bain Center, we moved up the street onto St. George into an unheated basement of what can only be described as a student housing house. As a matter of fact, one of the first purchases we made was for a heater, as it was one of the coldest winters Toronto had ever had. This attitude of scrappiness and making do with what we had has stayed with us throughout this journey. When we packed up our bags and moved to Silicon Valley, after receiving funding from Y Combinator, we resolved that we would be coming back home. That yes, our move to California may have meant that we might not have to shovel snow in the winter, but it would be taking us away from the epicenter of artificial intelligence development, and this had to be remedied as soon as possible. We started in Mountain View, California, out of a small bungalow, which was a massive upgrade from the basement we had spent times in, wearing gloves with our fingertips cut out to type. From Mountain View, we established our first office in Palo Alto, California, and last year we established our company headquarters in San Francisco. Today, Ross is live across every major legal hub in the United States and is being used by lawyers working at Fortune 500 companies, small law firms, by solo practitioners within government agencies, and by lawyers at the world's largest and most profitable law firms. Importantly, we have also pledged to provide Ross completely free of cost to organizations furthering access to justice. Our idea to bring artificial intelligence to the law was sparked by our desire to unlock the law for the billions of people worldwide who currently cannot afford it. This desire to democratize the law with artificial intelligence is what keeps us moving so fast. We are proud to have been named one of the top 100 AI companies in the world this year by CB Insights. Which brings us to today. The launch of Ross North is one of the most important moments in our company's history. Being back in Toronto, the hub of artificial intelligence development, feels very good and it feels very right. Toronto is where we always knew we had to be. With our AI R&D headquarters being present in Toronto, Canada, a world of possibilities is open to us when it comes to ensuring the best and brightest engineers continue to join the Ross team. As a company which boasts employees holding passports from over 17 countries, from Brazil to Iceland, to Nigeria to Korea, diversity is a cornerstone of Ross Intelligence. Toronto sets an international standard when it comes to diversity and equality, and we continue to be proud to have founded Ross in such a wonderfully inclusive city. In terms of an agenda today, you will first be hearing from Professor Khai Truong, Associate Chair of Research here at the Department of Computer Science. Following Professor Khai, you will hear from Matt Medland, who heads up the Applied Computing program here at the Department of Computer Science, a program Ross has made multiple hires from. Following Matt's comments, you will be hearing from University of Toronto President Meric Gertler, who will be highlighting U of T's commitment to innovation and entrepreneurship. Following President Gertler's remarks, Toronto Mayor John Tory, someone who we are proud to call a friend of Ross Intelligence, will speak to Toronto's role as an international hub for innovation and commerce. We will then be cutting the ribbon for Ross North, which should be a great photo op for anyone who wants to get the word out via social media. It promises to be a very Instagrammable moment. Following the ribbon cutting ceremony, Mayor Tory will be conducting a press conference. We invite you all to stay after the ribbon cutting ceremony and enjoy the lovely snacks, drinks, and company. Artificial intelligence is now front row center when it comes to conversations about the future of technology and the future of humanity. AI will continue to revolutionize every industry, from finance to medicine and everything in between. Ross Intelligence is proud to be the leader of bringing artificial intelligence to the law. I'll end my opening remarks with the words of our fellow Canadians, Bachman Turner Overdrive. You ain't seen nothing yet. But baby, you just ain't seen nothing yet. The biggest breakthroughs are yet to come, and Ross Intelligence, in partnership with the University of Toronto and with the support of the City of Toronto and country of Canada, will be at the forefront of this new technological revolution. The future is very bright, and we are proud to be home. Thank you.
Great, thank you. My name is Khai, and as Associate Chair for Research for the Department of Computer Science at the University of Toronto, I'd like to welcome Toronto Mayor John Tory, U of T President Meric Gertler, Ross Intelligence, GMO, Andrew, and Parklis, as well as university and department colleagues, friends, and special guests here today for this ribbon-cutting ceremony. With the recent launch of the Vector Institute for Artificial Intelligence, followed by the news of Associate Professor Raquel Urtasun, who is set to lead the self-driving vehicle technology at Uber's first Advanced Technologies Group in Toronto, the University of Toronto's computer science program is clearly a world leader in machine learning and neural networks. It was here that deep learning, led by University Professor Emeritus Jeffrey Hinton, had his first breakthroughs, which is why U of T's computer science was the only Canadian institution among 10 of the top world computer science departments that was asked to participate in the IBM Watson University Challenge in 2014, which the Ross Intelligence Group was a part of. This was more than a course project in cognitive computing and business of software. This endeavor and the academic staff who supported it, associate professors teaching stream Steve Engels, if Steve's here, and Paul Grease, as well as the co-director and co-founders of the Department of Computer Science Innovation Lab, Helen Kantozopoulos and Mario Grek, right there as well. All have helped Ross Intelligence stand out as a remarkable entrepreneurial achievement among the long list of startup and tech transfers that have been created here. U of T computer scientists are innovators and inventors. We strive to establish businesses that build upon the research strengths that U of T is known for. So on behalf of the Department of Computer Science, its chair, Robin Balakrishnan, couldn't be here today, I'm pleased to welcome Ross North back to Toronto, where we will continue to work together towards the next AI breakthrough. Thank you.
Hi, welcome everybody. My name is Matt Medland. I'm an assistant professor of teaching stream and director of applied programs and external relations. That's a big mouthful. Basically, where I spend most of my time is I run the Master of Science in Applied Computing program here in the Department of Computer Science. I'm also a two-time graduate of this department myself. As Khai mentioned, the Department of Computer Science here at the University of Toronto is Canada's leading CS department, and it's one of only a handful globally that have an applied research program at the graduate level. So the way that program works is students come in, do 8 months of coursework, followed by an 8-month industry research project. And obviously Ross is a strong supporter of this program, and I'll get to that in a minute. So these students essentially do their research work in industry. They can continue on to PhD or continue doing important roles in industry. We attract a tremendous amount of number of students, both domestic and internationally, and we also keep them here. Most of the international students end up staying in Canada, so we're combating the brain drain in a sense, and having Ross move back north is only helping further in that endeavor. So Ross and MSCAC, Khai mentioned the course where they worked with IBM Watson, and that was kind of the genesis of Ross. I was invited to judge the projects in this course. Mario, Steve Engels, Helen, all the people mentioned before invited me to come and sit in, listen to these projects, and vote for the best one. I'm happy to say I got it right. I have to say that, but it's actually the truth. So that's where I met Andrew and Gmo for the first time. And as I mentioned, their homecoming here really helps us to, they'll help us grow and train more people out of the MSCAC program. They've hired former graduates. They're currently hosting the internship portion of 2 students' master's degrees right now. So thank you so much, guys, for being such a strong supporter of the program and the department. And congratulations on your homecoming.
Thank you.
And now I'd like to introduce the University of Toronto President, Meric Gertler.
Thanks, Matt. Actually feel a little overdressed. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Let me start with offering special greetings to the Ross Intelligence team, to my colleague, David Cameron, our Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences here, and particularly to Mayor John Tory, your worship. We are always delighted to welcome you back to your alma mater, and we're particularly delighted that you're here today to celebrate with us on this auspicious occasion. On behalf of the University of Toronto community, let me say to all who have been involved in the opening of the Ross Intelligence AI Research and Development Headquarters here in Toronto, congratulations on your homecoming, and most of all, congratulations on your brilliant success in just a few short years. We know that innovation is the engine of prosperity, both economic and social. And the work of Ross Intelligence demonstrates this beautifully. You've developed an incredibly powerful tool to reduce costs and to increase productivity for lawyers and law firms. And at the same time, as you just heard, you've embraced a social mission by providing free access to Ross for nonprofits, law schools, and other associations. And in doing so, really democratizing access to justice for all. So it's both exciting and inspiring. I'm pleased to say that the arrival of Ross North is also part of a larger development over the last couple of years in which Toronto has emerged as a global hub in the AI revolution, a phenomenon that was confirmed most dramatically just a few months ago with the creation of the Vector Institute. I have to say that these developments, while they are very, very impressive, are no mystery. They are a clear example of how long-term public support for investigator-led, curiosity-driven research expands our knowledge of the world and also expands our ability to change the world for the better. Ultimately, it becomes a key driver of innovation and prosperity. So in the case of transformational changes, such as those represented by people like Jeff Hinton and his work in neural networks and others in this great department, the applications are multi-sectoral, as we're seeing in the work of U of T researchers and their partners in fields like computational medicine, quantitative finance, and transportation. And now, Ross Intelligence is pioneering the very exciting applications in the legal profession. Clearly, Toronto isn't just catching a wave, we're making waves. And as our friends in San Francisco and investors around the world are realizing, here on the north shore of Lake Ontario, of all places, surf's up. Congratulations once again to Ross Intelligence and a very warm welcome to Ross North. Thank you, everyone.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, Mr. President, members of the Ross Intelligence family, and there's many more in the room besides the 3 that are standing up here, and ladies and gentlemen, but especially Andrew and Gmo. First of all, I was a little worried when I came in and I seen some of the material and referred to supercharging lawyers, because there was a day when I was a practicing lawyer where I thought that meant some reference to the electric chair. People would think lawyers belonged. But having said that, I realized what you're talking about, and I guess I just have one question, which is, where was Ross when I needed Ross when I was an art student way back when? And I think it's important. I hope that the people that are not familiar with this and that are from, perhaps even from the media, understand just how revolutionary this is compared to the experience that many people had over decades, in fact centuries, of painstaking, painful, legal research they did. I mean, I am enough of a fossil in terms of my age to remember going into the law library and bringing out a huge stack of 12 or 15 books and pouring through the cases, trying to find that one phrase or that one, sort of bit of reasoning that established precedent, and that was what you were trying to do for your clients. And the amount of hours that were involved in doing that were, I guess, productive hours because you learned from it, but they weren't very productive in the context of many, many books you could read through and not find anything that might be useful to your cause. And while computers aren't perfect at now doing this, artificial intelligence has developed thanks to the work that you and your colleagues have done, to the point where a lot of this work can be done much more productively. And that's productively for both the lawyers that are doing it and the articling students and law clerks, but also for their clients. Because of course, for every hour that I spent, and people like me for decades after that, in the library reading through all those books, there was a bill rendered to a client, and it wasn't always the most productive expenditure of money. So it is a great thing for that profession, and I know now what you mean by supercharging the lawyers, and it isn't at all dangerous. I just want to really echo the comments that the President made, because I think it's something that I'm spending quite a bit of time trying to take advantage of on behalf of the city. I spoke this morning at a conference that was the Ontario Association of Food Banks. You may say, well, why am I mentioning that? Well, because at that conference I said in the end that the success that we have as a city in remaining one of the most livable cities on earth and a place where social justice is more than just an expression has to do in a foundational way with how successful we are at making sure people can find good, solid, lasting, productive employment here. And if you look at where the world is headed, and the kinds of jobs that we want to have more and more of in the city, it is headed in areas such as the ones that are going to be the result of the work that you've done and the innovation that people like you bring to this city. And we're blessed by the fact that for you to come home, and I was thrilled that you gave some hints to me when I met you in the Silicon Valley that you were going to come home with a part of your enterprise, an important part of your enterprise. It is not just about you coming home with the group of people you're going to employ here in the Research and Development Center, but it's about all that will spawn. And I'm optimistic that's going to spawn the return to Toronto, potentially, of some very smart people who left here. And they left here perhaps thinking at the time that there wasn't the opportunity here. But those things are changing every day, and we're working hard to make them change. And I was down in the Silicon Valley when I met you, selling people on the notion that of the 200,000 people who were Canadians working in the Silicon Valley, they could now come home. And they could come home knowing that there wasn't just opportunity here in enterprises like Ross Intelligence and others, or association with the Vector Institute or the University of Toronto, but that they could come home knowing that there was actually a crying need for their skill set, especially having been through the experience of scaling up enterprises in Silicon Valley, where we have a desperate need for people to come here and scale things up as well. But it's a moment in time. And the moment in time, it is important that we take advantage of it. It's important that we have people who are willing to take that first bold step to come back or to locate something here, because we can then use you as an example. And I have other examples that I'm fortunately able to use when I'm out selling people. The only thing that you haven't been able to do for me, and if you could go to work on this as your next project, or perhaps I could refer it to the President, is people did raise the weather with me from time to time relative to California. But you know what? Once you work here with the rich pool of talent, the diversity, the livability that is Toronto, I think people can get around the weather pretty quickly. I don't know that people focus on it, but I hear about it. I'm a graduate, a proud graduate of the University of Toronto, but that's relevant to nothing. What I do hear when I travel as the mayor is that people don't know as much about the details of our economy. They don't know as much about the details of the incredible establishment we have here in areas like life sciences and financial services and so on. They do know of the excellence of our education system, and they know of the excellence of the graduates, because so many of them have found their way around the world to work in various places, and they know something about our diversity and how we've chosen to live here together. And I hope that what you bring with you in terms of that small sense of social justice that's part of your business mandate, which is to allow people to have access to Ross who are nonprofits and people who are trying to make a difference in the world but have no money, is a small indication of your roots returning to home, and that's how we live here, and that's how we will continue to live going forward. I think it's also a big selling feature for the city, people know something of how we live here. They know we are spelling out a different narrative in the world at a time when the rest of the world is turning inward and looking for ways to cut out things like that. You're coming back here and saying that's going to be a fundamental feature of how we do business, which is to say that we are going to use our product for good. The other thing that I just want to say is that I often say this in the context of an issue everybody understands. People thought that somehow when I was sort of standing in there saying that we had to find a solution to the Uber situation other than trying to chase Uber out of town, which is what they did and continue to do in many centers around the globe. It wasn't about Uber versus taxis versus anybody else at all. It was about saying that we have to send a signal loud and clear out of this city that says we want to be the home to disruptive technologies. We want to be the home to people who come in and find and are the place where we're sourcing new ways to do things. Because that is going to provide the jobs of the future. It is going to attract the best and the brightest from around the world. And now people look at the way we handle the Uber situation. People from around the globe are being in touch with us to say, how did you do that? How did you manage to find a regulatory regime that was fair and respectful to everybody involved, but that didn't try to throw the disruptor out of town? And I just want people to know that we're going to continue to do that. Having you here, I hope you caused lots of disruption here of the most positive kind. Okay, thank you very much, and congratulations again to the Uber team, Rob.
Ross Road Launch. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right,
There we go.
Come on in. Okay, come on in.
Ross.